I made it. Here I am. Like dopey me, literally like 30 minutes ago, I forgot I had my camera all disconnected this week because I was using it in a session, and I go to turn it on and I realize nothing's plugged in, settings are all changed because I have to use different camera settings when I'm filming. So I'm like, I forgot all about that. So I'm trying to get everything set, get my camera settings ready. I didn't test so who knows? Sit down and letting it rip tonight. I don't even know if the audio's coming through, but whew. Special Sunday edition Ask a Photographer on tonight. That's all right. Again, I had a busy week this week, so I was a little tired. Couldn't get on Wednesday. I had session. Thursday I had session, and finally wrapped up my spring season. Last brides are done. Now I just have a bunch of photos and videos I got to get ready in the next 4 weeks or so. So yesterday I just kind of vegged out a little bit, and I don't even remember what I did yesterday. Yesterday went by so quick. Today I went out and walked a couple miles in the heat, cleaned up around spring cleaning, throwing a bunch of stuff out, running around all day. Before I knew it, it was like 5 o'clock. So can I say, I'm not feeling too tired. Maybe I'll go on and I'll do a show tonight. So here we are. So for those who stopping by, thanks for stopping by. My name is Michael. I am a women's photographer located here in New Jersey. Been doing women's photography for 15 years, longer. And we have some fun here answering questions about boudoir photography. As we always discuss, people think it's so simple and so easy to go out and find a woman's photographer, but it turns out to be really kind of the opposite. So what we're doing is trying to help people out, answer some common questions or uncommon questions, and get people the information so they can make some smart choices when going out and searching and finding their photographer. So here we are. And one thing I noticed in my software tonight, the little banners are all messed up when I was trying to put my questions in. The question one is going to the bottom. I had a couple multi-parters the other day. They're all split up and getting stuck, and some things I can't delete, and questions are going all over the place. So I contacted the tech support people. I don't think anyone's going to be doing anything on a Sunday, but my questions are going to be a bit of a mess. And when I was going in there, everything was freezing as soon as I would touch something on the little lower thirds question. So it froze right when I was just getting ready to start. I was trying to move them around because they were out of order, and then it froze. So I did it again and they froze. I'm not going to try to move them. Maybe it's going to let me show them, but I'm going to have to search because they're all kind of out of order, and we'll work through this for tonight. But, I loaded these up, losing track of Sunday, probably late last week or over last weekend even, so I forget what I put in there. So I was trying to refresh my memory again in the last minute, and I'm screwing everything up trying to look at the questions. But like I said, it was a good week. It was a busy week. My 2 last brides, and one woman came in and she was excited, and the last minute she's like, can we do some videos? I'm like, yeah, she really didn't have that as part of her thing, but she wanted to try it. And so we walked through a couple videos. She had a great time. And it's interesting because, I know in my brain now when I'm filming something, how it's all going to kind of come together. But it's difficult for women, when you're saying just kneel on a bed and see what videos, you can't really it's the opposite of, it's a different skill set than photos, because with the photos, you want people to stay still and not move. But the videos, it looks very weird if you stay still and don't move. So, people just stay still for photos. You got to keep moving. So, but it's people have, when they're moving their hands, and it feels kind of weird because it's hard for them to make that connection to how everything is gonna turn out. So it takes a little getting used to, and people are like, why are you telling me to grab my boobs? It doesn't feel, and then I'd say, well, put it in slow motion. It's going to look really cute. So I always find this pressure now when I get home to scramble to get together a little clip to show the person's like, that's unbelievable. I love the way that looks. And then they can finally make that connection when they see how that's going to look in the video and stuff like that. So it's fun to do. It is a ton of work. Videos are a lot more work than doing photos, and I'm still learning how to do that, but it's an expanding part of what I do. So every little time I do that helps and trying to get better and better and put stuff together. So it was a pretty busy week, successful week going in and finishing up those sessions. And now for the next bit, I'm just in beach mode. My family had a bunch of families Memorial Day weekend. This week, I don't think anybody contacted me for the beach. I was like, oh, I was getting flooded. And this week, kind of nothing happens. And next week starts I think I just have one group next week. And then it just starts. And then it's very weird because it comes all at once. Like people want nothing to do with that beach till just those couple of weeks in the summer. Then they're like, can you get us in? Can you get us in? So it becomes a hectic summer season. And then by the end of it, I can't stand crying babies anymore. And I'm glad to be back to doing like women. So I try to, during the summer, push everybody to the fall, give myself a little bit of break. I can't always do it. Sometimes there's a teacher or like a last minute thing. Oh, I'm getting married in August. Please, can we do something? You know, try to squeeze somebody in there. Usually that's what happens, but try to give myself a little break. Usually my work is finished by like June, middle June, whenever the people are getting married from now. And I still have a couple more weeks to work on for boudoir stuff. So that's what's been going on downtown the last week or so. And like usual tonight, we're going to go in and answer some questions as long as they work. Let me get my name off of there. And we're going to see what we got. And hopefully these show up and work on here. Well, that one popped up. Hopefully I can get it off. That is one, right? Yeah. So a few questions. I think I got 5 or 6 on here tonight. Go through and answer these one by one. Have a little fun. And again, if you're watching this live, you can always jump into the chat and ask something. Usually I can get to it. If not, you know, most people are watching this afterwards, which is fine. And if you have a question, you can always leave it in the comments and I'll find it and we use it for another show. But first question here tonight is, when you were new, did you ever forget poses or mess up? Seems like there's so much to remember, not to mention the client being right there. So yeah, it is a lot to remember, especially if you're a new photographer, because, you know, as I talk about, the photography that you're doing is actually only one part of what's going on in front of you. You're right. You have a person there. You're worried about camera settings. You're worried about lighting. You got to be the host and entertain the person. You got music playing, so you got to be like a DJ. And yeah, and on top of all that, you got to remember, you know, because someone comes in and you're like, I don't know, and it gets very awkward very quick. So you have to be on top of that. And yes, going back a long time ago, it's difficult to remember all that stuff because, like I said, if you're newer, there's so many other things you're worried about. Is this set right? Is that my light set right? You know, so yeah, poses are just one part of that, and it's very easy to forget poses. So I used to think in my mind, you know, oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and this, and try to think of a little routine. And then you're getting in the middle of it, and for whatever reason, your camera, or you get a little flustered and you forget something and you move on. So that happens. And I remember when I would put like a list in my phone. I would have in my Google Keep app or whatever I was using at the time, Dropbox, I don't remember, long ago, just make like a list of 1 and check it off, and 2 and check it off. I would try to, like, you know, stay on pace and do a little bit of a list. And then I guess what you do is, I guess it's like learning a dance. You know, you look at a whole dance, the whole thing looks very confusing, but if you break it down step by step, you know, you can learn it section by section. And I guess that's what I did. I figured, all right, the woman's going to be lying down, and I'll remember pose this, 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 and this. And then I'll make sure I got those 4, and then I'll add on another one, and so it was easier to do, and you just kind of memorize this sort of routine, I guess, and it does get long and involved, and you just learn it in chunks, and it gets easier as you kind of go along, but it's always like being the quarterback. You know, I guess that's what it is. It takes time to get into that mode and to be able to assimilate everything, you know, because it's like, when you're the quarterback, there isn't just one guy running and you're throwing him a pass. You got people trying to stop him. You got guys over here all being blocked. You got people trying to get you. There's all this stuff going on at once, and you have to learn how to assimilate all this information. If that guy's not ready, you got to go to this guy, and you have to do it smoothly and seamlessly, and it takes some time, and some people could do it, some people can't, and you just, learn how to quickly find the open receiver and not get sacked. Right. So it takes a practice to learn how to do that, a lot of time, and get comfortable. And because if you, again, seem like you don't know what you're doing, people pick up on that real quick, and then they start to feel like, what am I getting myself into? And you can see that look change on somebody's face. So, and have I ever really messed up? No, I don't recall like anything where I came home and like a whole session was blown. I was like, there could be individual photos where, again, something wasn't set right in the camera and it was too dark, or I know what I've done, trying to use flash outside and not set something right, and things get blown out, and where it was too light, on a couple individual shots. But that's my memory. I don't think I ever ruined like a whole entire session. I'm sure you mess up individual pose, and I was like, all right, do over, gotta do this again, and you go back and do it. But usually there's quite a few, obviously, poses. You got so many photos that if one thing doesn't work out, generally it's not an issue. There's plenty of other things to choose from, and you just don't show the person the pose that you messed up. That's all it really comes down to it. But yeah, it's a lot of practice. It takes a lot of getting used to. And again, that's why we talk about why experience is like so important when choosing a photographer and going to somebody to do your work, because it's pretty darn complicated, and the photos really are just one part of that overall thing that's going on. So good question, and thanks for sending that in. Now I have to search in my list for question number 2. Oh, there it is. Talking about adapting. My questions are all over the place. I have no idea where anything is tonight, but I found it. I remember this question in chat one. She was like, how long is it going to take after a session before I see my photos? This was just kind of in general. And really that depends on the photographers. I think many are doing some degree of editing or so forth after. There's not many that, like, when you're done with your session, they want to sit you down and put you in this cell session, and they'll bring stuff on a monitor or a screen, and buy it. But they can't be edited, unless they have somebody doing editing while you're in a shoot. But some photographers do preview some photos when you're actually there, like on a display after the session. But I think a bulk of them, there's some editing involved. And then they now usually, I think, upload them to online galleries. And how long that takes, I think, can really be a function of how busy that photographer is and whatever their backlog is. And then also, where you fall in terms of the priority of your project. Because I know in my case, sometimes, I may take a last minute bride. I may do a session with a woman, and then suddenly someone comes in that's a last minute bride, or you have 2 last minute brides that are getting married in a couple weeks, and you just did another woman who's not getting married till August. And you know what, August lady, he has a little bit of time. People get excited about their photos, so they want to see a couple, but I will go ahead and do, some newer, if that comes down to a couple of projects have to get done sooner. I find out from everybody when they need their end product. So I sort of prioritize a little bit in terms of that date. But I would say on average, 2 weeks is probably in the range of when you get your, maybe a week if people aren't too busy. Just see your photo, to go through everything and to edit everything may take longer than that. But just to see them, I would say a week to 2 weeks, depending on your photographer. Rarely the case you'll see a couple of them that day when you're going to do your photos. But as most things in photography, that's going to vary because photographers work so differently from person to person. But that's just my guess there. And thanks for sending that in. And I'm on the search for for question 3 because I don't know how anything is. Oh, there it is. Not too hard. Excuse me while I refill my water. And as a pro, how many outfits do you recommend I bring to my bridal shoot? I'm not sure how long it will be, but I want a good variety of my photos. Thanks, Lindsay. Spelled it wrong. Lindsay. I think I spelled her name wrong. Lindsay. Well, it's an interesting question, and you can never bring too few things. Wait, what am I trying to say? You can never have too many things. However, usually what I find, again, you don't need like 37 outfits because there's no way you're going to have time to go through and do all that. And variety is important, and some people want to have variety in there. That's usually the case. But remember, quality is a bit more important than variety. It's fun to change, and changing it is pretty quick. But I would say, and again, it's hard for me to base on what other people do, but I'm going to say in my case, we're in my universe, we're usually doing 2 like portraits. Like this week again, we're talking some beautiful weather. I buy like dresses and stuff, and I bought a bunch of summer dresses, and so I bring them in, and then we do portraits. So it was such a nice day. I was throwing this cutest dress too. Oh my! I just went and bought like 3 more of them, 3 more. Just this weekend, it was so cute in the pictures. These little short, summery dresses. So we were outside with the green in the background with this blue and green dress and doing some portraits. And the woman loved it. It was so cute. It was so nice to be outside and do photos like sometimes. So in my universe, we're usually doing some portraits. So I tell people in the winter inside to bring dresses and stuff like that. So that counts as like one outfit. So and not everybody's a dress person or a jeans person. So that's, but usually I want to do some pictures. And then when it comes to regular outfits, I'm going to say 3 or 4. It never hurts to have any extras just in case. But you find it, you're not going to go through tons and tons and tons as many as you think. So I think 3 or 4 probably outfits is good. And we're there for 2.5 hours or so. And that's plenty of outfits for that time. But if you have a particular instance where, and sometimes women will come in and this is my husband's shirt and we have to get his work shirt in. And if you have very specific things that you're doing, maybe that's count 1 more, 5 if you're doing one specific thing. But otherwise, usually 3 or 4 is a good number. And just remember, you don't need 800 different outfits in there, and that could be too much of a rush. And even if you have the same outfit on the wall, remember you may be lying down and going from different angles and stuff like that. So it's not like you're wearing it. I don't know. It's not that as big of a deal as people always think. You need like so many things, but usually 3 or 4 cute things, and you can't go wrong with like bra sets. Just standing up, laying down, or whatever. They're universally photographable in any situation, and it's fun. I'm always a big fan of more of like classic stuff or more elegant stuff. Like I had, was it 2 weeks ago? I forget, on the weekend, a woman. I always forget the name of that company. Jeez, I'm like drawing a blank. That fancy schmancy leathery lingerie company. She had this really elaborate red leather strappy thing with the buckles and the big wide and it was like really cool, like this see, now it's going to drive me nuts. I can't think of the name of that fancy lingerie company, but if you have a specialty piece like that, I'm like, yeah, bring it in. It's not super practical for everyday wear, but something like that is great for photos. So if you have something that you really love like that, those are fun to do, and specialty things that you could bring in. But 3, 4 is usually good. You should be fine with that. But talk to your photographer, review how long you're going to be in your session, and adjust accordingly. And it's better to have extra things, because if you don't use it, then bring too few and need something and you didn't have it. So how big of a bag do you need to bring in a bunch of laundry? Pretty small, so it's not too hard to haul that stuff around. You only need a small bag. So good question. And now I'm on the hunt for question number 4. Here we go. Oh yeah, I remember this one. I'm going to need a sip before we get into this. This is a little more difficult than how many outfits should I bring? But I remember this question, and it comes in. Why, oh why, would a photographer refuse to show me any photos during my session? My photographer kept saying, "Oh, this is great. Oh, this looks so good," and refused to show me. Now I gotta find part B. Refused to show me any photos in camera during my shoot. It was so frustrating. She kept saying, "Oh, it's so cute. Everything looks so good," and it really frustrated me. Is this normal? And this would not be the first time I've heard like this, and it is one of those very quirky things that some photographers will not show any photos to like a person during a session. But what's bad about that, if they keep taking pictures of you and looking in there, "Oh, that's so great," and not showing you, and it's like they're teasing you the whole time. "Oh, this is such a cute picture. Oh, look at this, look at this. Oh, and then let me see. No, I'm not showing you." But yeah, there are some people, and I don't understand the logic or reasoning behind that's their system. They do not want to show anybody pictures from the back of their camera, like during a shoot. So you're going through all this stuff, and if they're acting all excited, you feel like you're missing it. So I understand that frustration. And to me, that was always really kind of silly. And I haven't thought about this in a long time, but I've heard of this before, and some photographers like do this. See, now I can understand not wanting to show somebody tons and tons of pictures because number one, that just really slows, if you're working, that can slow the process down, and you're showing somebody every picture. You're just, it just takes a lot of time. And then B, you're not going to have anything to see later, but if you're shooting something and it turns out like really nice, I certainly go, "Oh my God, look." Or also, we were talking a little bit earlier about how women have a tough time kind of initially putting the pieces together and seeing how things are going to come out. So showing somebody, "Wow, that looked really good," and they can kind of cognitively put together really what's going on, and then say, "Oh yeah, now I kind of get it," because you want me to put my head back and hold my mouth open, and I don't really do that in real life. But if you want me to look like when it looks kind of very dramatic, and they can make that connection, and it really helps them take photos a little bit better. So, I know I never personally sit there and say, "Oh, we're going to show someone 5 photos." It's actually something I never really think about, but I'm thinking about what I did this week. Yeah. And this second woman, I was showing her photos through the course of, because first of all, she was curious, and show her, and what the hell's the difference? They're see them now. They're going to see a couple later, and it just gets people excited, gets them used to doing what's going on, and it helps them make that connection about how they're posing and how that looks on a camera, because you may not be standing like this every day. It could feel super weird, and you're like, "Why is this guy telling me to do this?" And then like, "Oh yeah, now I get it. I see it. It looks cute." That's so yeah, it's not showing photos is normal for a certain group of photographers, but I don't think most. Remember, photographers do a lot of weird things, and that's just like one of them. So sorry that happened to you during your shoot. Yeah, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but that's what some people do. And if you're someone that wants to see photos, ask when you're booking, "Can I get a peek?" Why would you tell anybody no? See, that's the thing. I never got that, but some people, "I don't want to show anybody unedited photos." I mean, are you that far off? I mean, is it really that bad that, are you not getting it right when you're taking it? That, I never, some people, "I have to put my finishing touches on it." Very, very strange that people do stuff like that. But good question. And thanks for sending that one in, because that's something I would have never thought about in a million years. But see, that's what happens, and it's one of those little things where someone can go into a session really excited, and then you have a photographer doing that the whole time, and it can really affect the mood and how things are going. And why aren't you showing me? And it's one of those quirky things about photographers and women's photography. I think it's all photographers may or may not do that. I don't know, but it's just how some people work, and yeah, see how that can change somebody just by not showing them a picture, and that's all they want. Show them a picture, Miss or Mr. Photographer. Show them a picture. What the hell's the difference? Torture people. A good question, and thanks for sending that in. And that brings actually awareness to a whole lot of other people who didn't know that was a thing. So that was a good one. And now I'm on my search for question number 5 here in my list. I'm sorry for this, but like I said, it's all like scrambled up. Oh, there we go. Question number 5 looks like 2-parter. Make sure I got them. Oh, we're moving right along, eh? Question number 5. Here we go. Hey, weird question. I've always wanted to do a boudoir shoot, but it just hasn't been in the budget with my living expenses going on. I get it. There's a fairly prominent photographer in my area, and I look at her ... Now the suspense is killing me. I got to find part B. Hopefully, oh, there it is. It's right where it should be. And I look at her page from time to time, and I'm thinking about it. Do photographers ever take volunteers? I wouldn't mind being displayed on her page. Just checking to see how that works. And what she's asking is, I really like this photographer's work, and I would love to work with this person. And now it's just not possible, but I would so love to do this. And is there ever a case where photographers will do photos like in exchange for being one of those people in their galleries? And hey, I'm okay with that. And the simple answer is yeah, photographers do that. The extent of which for each person may really vary. You would not be weird. Did it say I was weird for thinking that? Or is that just me? First part, I'm saying to photographers, I wouldn't mind being displayed. Just checking to see how that works. Not that was, it did say weird question. Yeah. Weird question. It's not a weird question. And yeah, photographers do that. I think all kinds of photographers do that. I know that wedding photographers do it because they have like those styled shoots where makeup artists and all these people get together and they get a woman to pretend she's a bride and another person to pretend there's a groom, and multiple photographers will like pay for this. They all take photos that they can use to show these styled shoots, and a lot of photographers do that kind of work. And it would not be weird to reach out to somebody and say, hey, if you ever need a volunteer for some of your gallery photos, I'd love to help out. What's the worst that they're going to say is, no, I don't do that, and that they don't, but it doesn't hurt to reach out and ask. Now, some things there obviously is, I've done gallery shoots and stuff like that. I tend to do it, when I'm not busy, like in the spring, I don't do it because I'm too busy, or Christmas, forget about it because I'm like too busy, but I've done it. And there's a couple of things to think about is that you may be near the person, because it could be short. They may say, oh yeah, but I may not be doing till October. I'll keep you updated so you're not too far in case, you get short notice. It's not too far for you to go somewhere. And then also another thing to think about, which is a little weird in the world of photography, it's that, they're generally looking for people who are representative of their clientele, or if they don't have a broad range of people, they may be looking to expanding that look. So I guess what I'm trying to say, if they have a whole bunch of bananas on their website and they're looking for some apples or oranges to crease their U, and you're an apple or an orange and you're not a banana like everybody else on their website, they may say, yeah, I need some apples and oranges, some different, kinds of people to put on my website. But if you're like in that target market for the person that they tend to work with, I think you're your chance is better. Don't be weirded out if they ask you to send in a couple of sample photos, because if you're like a 70-year-old granny and they're shooting 25-year-old brides, it's not really something that they're going to be able to use. So as long as you're in maybe that photographer's target demographic or who they're shooting photos for as a consideration, they may be able to use you. And I don't know how often anybody else would do that. I would do that off and on. I haven't done it in a while, but some photographers when they're newer, may need more people to volunteer because they don't have a lot of customers yet. And the trade-off may be not the best photos, but if you're looking at somebody, like I think you said, was an established or prominent photographer. Let me go back to the beginning question. If they're a prominent photographer in your area, I don't know. If they're super busy, they may not to really need a lot of sample photos, because sometimes, their own clients are donating some photos, because more so than ever, women were happy to let, the photographers use their photos. But again, if they're looking to do some very specific kind of photos, maybe an angel wings or a very specific kind of a thing that they haven't done with a client yet, so it doesn't hurt to reach out and ask. But a super busy photographer, I don't know, could, but they could have a lot of photos in their gallery and they don't want to do too much repetition. Usually people are always trying to do something new or update some older photos that they have. So not a weird question at all. Reach out and ask and just say, hey, I admire your work, love your galleries. You ever think about shooting some updated photos, or I'm your person, include a couple of pictures of yourself and say you're happy to sign a model release, and there you go. That's what I would do. So not a bad question again at all for those who, and the trade-off, of course, like I've noticed with a model release, those pictures are going to be online. So you just have to be okay with having your photos on the interwebs and seen by people, and then two spaces out of the tube there, they usually go all over the internet. So just got to be okay with having your photos used publicly, and maybe all the photos you aren't going to shoot are going to be used publicly. Could just be a couple that the photographer winds up using. You may get a bunch, you may not get a bunch. These are details you have to talk with the photographer and find out how they operate, if they're doing any gallery sessions or modeling sessions like that. And don't fall for the trick like we talked about a week or two ago, where dopey photographers email out those casting call. I almost said casting couch. Casting call emails. Like it was 2 weeks ago with a woman, that scam where photographers send out, I need models, and then they want to. They act like it's a free session, and they get people in there and they want to charge them a whole bunch of money, and they're like, what are you talking about? So don't fall for that. I mean, but legitimate, like sort of modeling sessions or gallery sessions, just don't fall for it where the photographer's like, oh yeah, come on down. And then they turn around and don't give you anything, and you're signing a release, and then they want to charge you $900, $1,000, $1,500 for cruddy pictures that they took. So just make sure you get all the details up front and avoid photographers sending out those model call emails. Stay away. Stay far away. Okay. Boy, good questions tonight. Thanks for everybody for sending these in. And going to freshen my beverage. And you can hear my voice going. We're rolling along. I think this is our last one. I think this is our last question. Maybe? No? I got one more after this one. Okay. Question number 6. Holy jeez, Mike. I watched your other shows and you answered 2 questions I really had about a session. Thanks. You're welcome. I'm saving up for my wedding gift and I overthink everything. Ding, ding, ding. My friend did a shoot for her wedding. She wound up using a $125 coupon from a local mailer. I guess she means coupon in the mail. And wasn't too happy with her results. She hated it. I don't want this happening to my wedding, ... Because how do you know until it's too late? You don't see the photos till after. I'm worried about ending up like my friend. Is there a trick for making sure you'll like your photos? Thanks, Raina. So what she means is, yeah, her friend getting married, got the coupon mailer. There was a little coupon in there from a photographer, $125 for your boudoir shoot. Rush today, limited spots. And went in and did the photos. And she actually sent me some more details. She didn't send me pictures, but she sent me the weirdness that went on during that session that the woman had in this room or whatever, like a chain hanging down from the ceiling with like a wicker swinging basket seat or something under it, and kept pushing the friend and telling her, like swinging her and trying to take a picture. Everything is moving, and now you're supposed to look like when someone's pushing. The whole thing sounded like it was a mess. And when she got back, she was very disillusioned, and the pictures looked like crap. And, she couldn't use it as a gift because the pictures, she didn't like them, so she didn't want to give them to her. So never told the future husband about it, and, really didn't turn out so great. So how do I keep that from happening to me? Is there a trick? Is there a secret that you could just pick somebody and, first of all, avoid $125 photographers. Like I said, if you are a value shopper, you're in for trouble in 95% of the time, 90% of the time. Because no one's doing a photo shoot for $100. Let me tell you, that's worth their salt, because their time is worth a lot more than that. So if you're a value shopper, the person that scans around, you're just trying to find the not just for everything, the cheapest of whatever it is. For boudoir, it gets tough for you in the world of boudoir, because that's not how you shop for photography if you want something to look good. So item number one is probably when you get that coupon clipper, throw it in the garbage. Don't use that as your source of finding somebody for a photographer. Yeah, and depending on where you live, if you're in the U.S., there are certain regions that have a lot more to pick from, and others don't. Maybe you live in way out in Wisconsin or something, and there's a bunch of small towns, and maybe one photographer 500 miles. And you don't really have a big selection. It gets very tricky. If you're in the Northeast, maybe or the West, could be a lot of people in a smaller area, so it's easier to find somebody. But there isn't one simple trick, and this really goes along with what we talk about on this whole entire show. It takes a lot of work. You got to put in a little legwork. You got to find out about experience. You got to look through the galleries to make sure that the photos that they're showing are something that you look at and go, yeah, ooh, I would love to be that woman in that picture. That is so awesome. And the pictures show a bunch of different people in them. They look like they are professionally taken. And one thing is, you have to learn how to spot good photography. You have to learn to be able to see when someone knows what they're doing versus what they don't. And yeah, your friend spent $100, and what did she get for it? She lost $100 on useless photos. So you can't necessarily shop by money, at least first. You have to find experienced people, someone who's doing the photos in the style that you like, and then push, money back a bit, because that's not the most important thing at that point. Talk to the person, find out how many people that they worked with, and then your expectation, really has to be that, all right, I'm going to buy a new Honda Accord. I know there's a lot of Honda dealers out there, and pretty much the car I like is going to run me $45,000. Just, if you want a Honda Accord, that's what it's going to be. You can't think, oh, geez, I saw someone selling a used Honda Accord for $4,000, 1997. And so your expectation should be that you're going to find a new car for that $4,000. So first of all, if that's the going rate in that area, $40,000, mentally, that's what you have to be prepared to spend to get that kind of a car, that kind of quality. Just understand that from the beginning, what good photography costs in your area. Don't worry about the cheap, just whatever, and then save to do it right. It may take you a little longer. You have to put a little money. You may not be able to get a Starbucks for a little while. Just put it to your photography fund. But save to do it right. Do it the right way. Don't try to find the least expensive ice cream, the least expensive whatever, because you're getting shit. So if you're going to go through this experience, why not do it the way that it's supposed to be done? Find out in your area whatever that solid, meaty middle of quality photographers is costing, and just in your mind understand that that's what you're going to pay. So it takes a little bit of work to go in and find somebody. Don't, email a bunch of people and then pick by lowest price. You're going to wind up in the same shape as your friend. Don't talk about pricing. Find out all the other details. It takes time to go through, and it's work. It takes time to go through and do that. And then it makes it much, much easier, to take away some of that risk that you're going to wind up like your friend, because we want everyone to have great wedding gifts that they can surprise their partner with. And there's nothing more demoralizing than going through all that and then the end seeing some photos and going, it's just not what I was expecting. And it happens all the time. Unfortunately, your friend happens all the time because they're value shoppers. And then doesn't work like that in women's photography. It just doesn't. So got to go through and do a little homework, and you will be in good shape. Very important question. Thank you, Raina, for sending that in. Hopefully that was helpful. And let me know how it goes. Put in your work. And if you have another question, send me. I know you said you had one more question. Just email me, and if I can help you out with anything else, and you'll be good. And then finally, for my last question, I can't find it. Here we go. Question 7 is a 3-parter too. It's all over the place in my list. I have just enough energy left for this one. We're in the home stretch. So, hey, Mike. Hey, I'm 34 and I've been married for 6 years. I've done a boudoir shoot before, loved it, and have been talking with my husband about doing another. It's so fun. Here's the thing. He's been floating the idea, ... Now the suspense is killing me too. I got to find part B in my list, which of course is all the way on the top for whatever reason. Now I forgot where I left off. He's been floating the idea of me doing a shoot with another man. He's so good to me, and I just want to make him happy, and I'm fine with it, although we need to work out some of the deets. Like, how far do people really go with this? Continued again. Part C, which I think I got here. This is a mental struggle for me here this evening. Cues. Am I going to get run out of the building asking a photographer about this? They are all women in my area. I want it to be cute, but hot. It's kind of embarrassing. Where should I start? I should have saved this or put this one in the beginning when I had a lot more energy. This is a lot of information to unpack in this 3-parter question here. But you are not alone, my friend. It is a thing, and has been a thing, in photography for a while, where married women want to come in and do photos with somebody that is just not their husband. And a whole group of people may think, what are they talking? But there's this other whole group of people who are like, yeah, I kind of get it. It's news to me. But this has just been a thing that has, trying to remember the first time I ran into this, and it's a long time. It's been a thing. So it's just a thing, whether you, or not, it's a thing. So let me go back to question part. So yeah. Now, how far do people really go? Well, if you take away the other details here, in some way, it's just a couple's session. It's a man, a guy, a girl. You said a guy, right? So lots of photographers have photographed couples, like boudoir sessions or do videos. Couples sessions have been around, again, just as long as boudoir photography. And the funny thing is, like, you think women are very self-conscious about themselves. Try dragging a guy in to do something like that, and you've got to pull them, screaming and yelling to get them in to do a boudoir session a lot of the time. So guys who go in and do that, hey, it's tough to get guys in there. But with couple sessions, here's the thing. A lot of that, and a lot of photographers, are focused on intimacy, closeness, doing kind of sultry poses with a man with his arms around the woman, and the woman, it's about physical contact and closeness or cuteness. What happens when you start to cross that line again? And I think you were asking about how far does it really go? And some people want to go. They just want to keep on going. They go. They're going. And not all photographers are okay with that. They really want to do cutesy, pretty, sensual, and then they really draw a line at that point, and they're not comfortable photographing anything explicit or anything with physical contact or going down that road. So the first thing to do in this situation is, right, people do go far, and it depends on the man and the woman, what's agreed to and what people are comfortable with. And sometimes people don't know this till they're there, because it's not every day that usually a woman is doing something like this, and it's not every day that wherever they get the guy from to come in is doing something like this. So people are always a little, awkward at first, anxiety, they have anxiousness at first, and it's hard to make that determination ahead of time because everybody's so uncertain about everything. Just like any woman coming in to do a session, they're a little awkward. It's like, I don't know what's going on here. But, once they kind of get used to the environment, they get used to how the photographer is working, and get used to they don't know the person, they get used to the person that they're with. If they're bringing some kind of model, or, sometimes women bring someone that they know already. That line sometimes is in flux until you're in that session and see what's going on. And they're like, no, I'm good. I'm all right, but I'm good right here. So sometimes you don't know till you're in the middle of that session really how far something is going to go or what's going to happen. And most people aren't thinking we're swinging for the fences. It's just kind of a take it as it goes type of a thing. But you can do photos with somebody, and it doesn't have to be super explicit. Like I said, it can just be more couplesy, the guy holding the woman ruggedly or whatever and embracing her and doing stuff like that, and that's okay. How far someone goes is purely a matter of their preference and comfort and the photographer and all these people talking together and making sure everyone's on the same page. Like I said, and you don't want to go and sign up with a photographer not knowing about this, and then having everybody come in that day and then go, whoa, this is not really something that is my cup of tea. I appreciate you coming in, but this isn't really for me. Or if in your mind you think, yeah, this is more fun than I thought, and I'm I'm swinging for the fences with this one. And again, it's like, no. So then you're kind of not feeling so great because you had this idea in mind of what you wanted to do, and the photographer wasn't really up for that or so forth. So it is very important to talk to them and say, not something I really would imagine doing a little while ago, but hey, things change and see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen. What are your thoughts? You okay with something like this? So you really want to talk to them, get some feedback, and find out if they've done anything like this before, if they're okay, what they're okay with. So you're probably not going to get run out of the building because, again, in its most basic form, it's just a couples session. It can be embarrassing to bring something like this up with anybody, but trust me, in the world of women's photography, if you're dealing with someone who's they've seen and they've heard it all. So, it's fine to talk with that about somebody. My personal tip to you, and this is just me talking, is if you are the one that should be organizing this, don't let your husband do it. Because I find, and when I get contacted with something like this, ears are super perked up and I'm looking for any reason to say no to somebody. And most of the guys that contact me get a thanks, but no thanks. Simply because I think, and I don't know how to say this without saying, the men come across as this, I guess, again, it's in the presentation. And usually it's like, yeah, my wife. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not. I want her to. And I'm like, yeah, they just. And women talk very differently. And like I said, they tend to be a little bit more, that's not how women talk. And I would tend to hear from a woman who's a little bit more like, this is tough. Has anyone ever done anything like this before? I'm not sure. And it's just, I'm more apt personally to go and with when I hear from a woman than from a guy who's just a little bit more crude about it. And but that's just me. So my one tip would be for you to contact the photographer, leave your husband out of it. And forgot the second point that I was going to say. Yeah. And then when talking to the person, you do it and just say, hey, I'm new to me. I'm okay. And surprisingly, and I've done, I can't even give you a number, these sessions lots of times. And my personal, I don't know even what the right word to say, my reservation was always be, and because I've run into this with couples, and it's really where like the woman was there against her will, or she was like, when is this going to be over? And you can't Photoshop away that, can't this just be over? And it was really just the husband's idea, drag the wife in, and, she could not wait to get out of there. She was there purely because the guy drove her crazy about it, and she was there. So I became very aware for that. So if I was contacted, like I said, I go to the woman, what are your thoughts? And if she's like, and the guy would be like, yeah, she's usually very reserved. This isn't anything that she would want to do. And I'm like, well, there you go. She doesn't want to do it. And they're telling you that the wife really isn't into doing this. So in my experience, doing sessions like this, that was because I've seen it with couples where the woman just really didn't want to be there. And so when I started to run into this kind of a situation where there was a woman that was married and wanted to be with another man in the session, Shockingly, it wasn't that. The women really were having fun. And, me in my way, I'm like quizzing me. Yeah, this is great. And laughing, having a great time. And really, really enjoyed themselves. And I was like, are you sure? Yeah, but and they were. And so for that group, in that kind of a situation, it seemed to be very different than a lot of couples where the husband was like dragging a wife in and wife didn't want to be there. And that's why I'm so used to saying no to men, because a lot of times the woman didn't want to really come in and do it. But in this kind of, I hate to say cuckold, but that kind of a situation where the woman's coming in to do something and they're married, where the husband likes to see the wife with another man. It's just somebody's thing. I don't judge, but the women had a great time, which was like surprising to me initially. So just talk to the photographer in that area, give them your plans, make sure they're okay with something like that. And what we're not going to get into is trying to find somebody to do this. Again, you say most of the photographers are women in your area, unless you have somebody, because women would say, well, do you know where I could find somebody? I'm like, I have no idea. So yeah, that's your other little bit of work, is finding a partner for your shoot. So these sessions are a bit more involved, and then keeping that partner in the flow of what you plan on doing and making sure they're okay, and they're going to be nervous, and everyone's going to be anxious when they first come in. But surprisingly, those sessions that I've done, whether they're just like videos like this or back in the day more photos, surprisingly went all very, very well. Women had a fabulous time. And let me tell you this, like for these sessions, they are probably like the number one repeat customers. Like the husband loved it. I had so much fun and could we come back? And we want to, next anniversary, we want to do something like that again. So we'll just leave it at that for that question. So we could do a whole show on that question. But it's a thing. I don't know if it's a growing thing or it's just a thing that's always been there, and it's just people feel more comfortable going out and doing that kind of a photo session. Maybe more photographers are accommodating to that. I think video has changed that a lot, because now people want all that in video, which is more challenging to do. And I don't when people come in, like, I don't judge anybody when they come in and do that. I do my work. People have a great time, laughing and giggling and having fun. If it's making people happy, then hey. But like I said, if you're doing what I do for long enough, you've like seen it all and photographed most of it, and it's the interesting thing about this job. So that's how I would start on your quest for that type of session. Just ask a lot of questions, take your time, find the right photographer. It's going to be a lot of work in organizing that, and go ahead and do it. Life is short. It's a one lap race. So if you and your husband are okay with it and that, hey, good for you. And that's our show for tonight. Boy, we were on for a really long time. For someone who had a lot of energy, I just kept yapping all night long tonight. So, and I lost my slide because that was one that was gone for the questions. So again, if anybody has any questions they'd like to, most of my questions come through email. You can email me or through the chat in my website. If you see this video afterwards, you can always just leave a comment below and we put that in a future show. So thank everybody for coming on tonight. Really great questions. And this is next week, right? Because Sunday is really technically this week. So maybe we'll do another show this week. I'll see how they go. This Sunday night kind of threw up my whole schedule. But I'm just getting ready to get out of here. So thanks for everybody for watching tonight. And I will see you soon. Thanks, everybody. I just got to find my outro.